Claressa Shields is the greatest women's boxer breathing right now, and before this video is over, that sentence is going to hit harder than anything she has ever thrown with her right hand. Before we step 1 foot deeper into this carnival, I hope every single one of you watching is doing well, because for the hype merchants, the cosign choir, and the promotional illusionists we are about to drag into the light today, well, happy weekend and welcome to the show. This is going to be a big one. Maybe the biggest breakdown I have ever put together on this channel. And you already know what to do before we go any further. Smash that like button. I mean, really smash it like it owes you money. I want the algorithm to hear us tonight because a very particular group of people decided to run their mouths this week, and it is time to hand them the receipt. Subscribe if you haven't already. Ring the bell. Ride with me, because when we crack open what Ray J just said on camera, and what Ray J just accidentally handed the entire boxing world without even realizing it, you are going to laugh, you are going to shake your head, and you might even feel a little bad for Claressa Shields. Because Claressa Shields did not sign up for this. Claressa Shields signed up to be a champion. And a champion is exactly what Claressa Shields still is, no matter what the Zeus Loyalist Guild tries to sell you this week. So here is the thing. This whole situation started innocently enough. Ray J, in his infinite Ray J-ness, sat down for what was supposed to be a routine promotional conversation to hype an upcoming fight card. And instead, Ray J proceeded to torch that card, that promotion, that co-main event, and that entire arena in one single uninterrupted stream of consciousness. And the funniest part, the part that has me pacing around my studio right now, is that Ray J does not know he did it. Ray J thinks he cooked. Ray J thinks he sold a fight. Ray J genuinely believes he walked into that room and closed the deal of the year. What Ray J actually did was walk in, pour gasoline on the marquee, strike the match himself, and then turn to the crowd and ask if anybody else smells smoke. That is Ray J. That is what Ray J has always been. And today, Ray J out-Ray JD himself in a way that even the harshest Ray J critic on the internet could not have scripted. Ray J is a walking headline machine, and this time the headline he wrote is the one nobody in that building ever wanted printed. Now let me set the table for you because context is everything here. On the 15th, at the State Farm Arena in Atlanta, Zeus Network is putting on what they are calling a boxing card. At the top of that card, Claressa Shields is fighting a woman named Kay Scott. Claressa Shields is a 2-time Olympic gold medalist. Claressa Shields is undefeated. Claressa Shields is the pound-for-pound queen of her sport. And Claressa Shields is being placed at the top of a card that has, sitting one rung below her, Ray J versus Orlando Brown. Yes, that Ray J, that Orlando Brown, on a real boxing card, in a real boxing venue, under a real boxing commission, with real boxing money on the line. Take a breath. Read that sentence again. Let it sit in your chest for a second. Because that is the level of unseriousness we are dealing with tonight, and it explains absolutely everything Ray J was about to say next. Everything. Ray J, sitting there with the confidence of a man who has never once been told no by his own mouth, decides to tell the room exactly how he is preparing for this fight. And Ray J tells them on camera with his whole face that he is running on juice. Apple juice. Orange juice. Fruit punch. Ray J looked directly into the lens and said with a straight face that after a 2-week run on apple juice, he is going to be ready for a professional prize fight. A 2-week run. On juice. In front of a boxing commission. Now look, I love a healthy metaphor as much as the next commentator. I understand what Ray J thinks he was saying. Ray J was trying to imply that he does not need what other fighters allegedly need. Ray J was trying to imply that he is clean, that he is natural, that maybe somebody else in the building is not. But the way Ray J said it, the way Ray J winked into that camera, the way Ray J giggled at his own joke before the room even had time to react, that was not a health confession. That was a subliminal grenade. And Ray J pulled the pin and tossed it straight into the middle of his own co-star's promotional window. And this is where the tape starts telling on everyone. Because right after Ray J delivered the juice line, Ray J looked around the room and, according to Ray J himself, dropped this on Zeus, quote-unquote, anything you want to do. Anything. On Zeus. On the platform that is co-signing this card. On the platform that is supposed to be selling the boxing side of this equation as legitimate. That is what Ray J told the world. Ray J told the world that on Zeus, the rules are optional. Ray J told the world that on Zeus, testing is a suggestion. Ray J told the world that other platforms, other promoters, other streams do not allow that stuff, but Zeus, well, Zeus is a different kind of building. Ray J said this out loud. Ray J said this into a microphone. And nobody at Zeus stopped Ray J. Nobody at Zeus corrected Ray J. Nobody at Zeus pulled the plug on the segment, cut the feed, or even cleared their throat. Which means one of two things is true. Either Zeus agrees with Ray J, or Zeus is not paying attention to its own product. And honestly, in the year we are living in right now, either answer is a scandal with a pulse. So look at the ringmaster in the shadows here. Look at Zeus. Because a very fair question has been sitting on the table since the day this card was announced. And nobody at Zeus has answered it. Have Claressa Shields and K. Scott been tested for this fight? I have not heard a single word about Veda. I have not heard a single word about USADA. I have not heard a single independent testing agency issue a statement, a schedule, a report, or so much as a photograph of a sample cup. Nothing. Silence. And when a boxing card featuring a two-time Olympic gold medalist cannot even confirm basic testing protocols, and one of the undercard talents is on camera giggling about juice like it is a punchline at an open mic, we do not have a fight card anymore. We have a costume party with gloves. And that brings us to the question that has been lingering over this entire promotional run like cigar smoke in a closed room. Why is Claressa Shields in Miami? Somebody in the chat, in the comments, on any platform, please answer this for me. Claressa Shields is not a Miami fighter. Claressa Shields trained in Flint. Claressa Shields fights out of Michigan. Claressa Shields has an entire ecosystem built around her preparation, her coaches, her people, her routine, and none of it is on South Beach. So what is Claressa Shields doing in Miami during a fight camp? We know it is not a vacation. We know it is not a photo shoot, because the promotional machine on this fight has been so quiet you could hear a mouse tiptoe across the canvas. Something is off. Something has been off since the press conference. And every single day that goes by without a real answer from the Claressa Shields camp, that question grows louder in the minds of the fans who actually care about this sport. And let me be clear, that is not a knock on Claressa Shields. That is a knock on the Ray J realitoring complex that is supposed to be protecting her narrative and instead is letting the undercard become the entire story. Now let us talk about the elephant in the arena. Because Ray J, in that same conversation, decided to explain to the world exactly why people are showing up to the State Farm Arena on the 15th. And this is where Ray J went from mildly self-sabotaging to fully cinematic. Ray J looked at his fellow reality television gladiators and said, with his full chest, that the celebrities on the card are the main event. Not the pound-for-pound queen. Not the world champion at the top of the marquee. The celebrities. Ray J said, and I want you to hear this in Ray J's own voice, that fans, quote-unquote, are not going to get there late just to watch Claressa. Ray J said that. Ray J said the fans, the paying customers, the ticket holders are showing up early for Ray J, for Orlando Brown, for Tashiki, for Big Lex, and are not, and I am quoting Ray J again, showing up in time for the champion. That is not a slip of the tongue. That is a confession. That is Ray J telling every single person in that building who is actually being sold, and telling every single person in the Claressa Shields camp exactly what they suspected but were too polite to say out loud. The curtain just dropped, and Ray J is standing behind it holding the rope like a trophy. Take a second and understand what just happened there because the magnitude matters. Ray J was booked on this card as a supporting attraction. Ray J was placed on this card, in theory, to help fill a room. And Ray J, live on camera on the promotional trail, told the world that he does not consider Claressa Shields the draw. Ray J told the world that Claressa Shields is the undercard to Ray J. Ray J told the world that a two-time Olympic gold medalist, an undisputed champion, a woman who carried women's boxing on her back for a decade, is a backdrop for a reality television spectacle. And nobody in that room pushed back. Nobody in that room said, hey Ray J, maybe do not say that part on camera. Which tells you everything you need to know about the room, about the promotion, about the entire apparatus that has been built around this card. That is not a boxing promotion. That is a group text with cameras. And I want to be very clear about something before the comment section starts warming up. This is not a shot at Ray J the entertainer. Ray J has had moments. Ray J has had records. Ray J has had a real career in entertainment, and Ray J's job on this card is to be Ray J. And to his credit, Ray J is doing that with a level of dedication most professionals cannot match. But the second Ray J stepped onto a boxing promotion and started spraying subliminals about juice, about testing, about who the real draw is, Ray J stopped being a supporting act and started being an accidental whistleblower. Ray J is telling on the whole operation. And the operation deserves it. The operation earned it. Because the operation is the one that put Ray J on a microphone next to a real champion and expected magic. What they got was chaos, and chaos is the one thing this promotion cannot afford because chaos peels back the curtain, and the curtain, once peeled, does not go back up. Now let us rewind for a second and look at the co-main event itself on its own terms. Ray J versus Orlando Brown. On paper, I understand it. Two figures with decades of pop culture equity. Both willing to step into a ring. Both willing to entertain. I understand the pitch. I understand why somebody in a boardroom greenlit it. But the moment Ray J opened his mouth and said this fight is going to be like Martin Lawrence versus Eddie Murphy, we crossed a line from promotion into parody. Ray J compared himself and Orlando Brown to two of the greatest comedic performers this country has ever produced. Ray J said this fight is a family event. Ray J said the whole family has to gather to watch it. Ray J said it is a watch party. Ray J said it is a must-see. Ray J said, in fewer words, that this is culture. And look, it might be entertainment. It might even be fun. But it is not culture. It is content. And there is a very real difference between those two words, and the person who should be most upset about that difference is the champion sitting one line up on the poster. Because here is what nobody at Zeus wants to say out loud. Claressa Shields did not spend 2 decades in a gym for her main event to be sold as the appetizer to a reality television grudge match. Claressa Shields did not become the greatest women's boxer of her generation so that a promotional interview could turn into a Ray J stand-up set. Claressa Shields deserves better. Claressa Shields has always deserved better. And every time Claressa Shields has been shortchanged by a promotion, by a broadcaster, by a network, by a co-star, Claressa Shields has kept her head down, done the work, and let the tape talk. But this time the tape is talking about somebody else. The tape is talking about Ray J. The tape is talking about Zeus. The tape is talking about every hype merchant who signed off on this poster and pretended it made sense. And it is important to say what nobody in the mainstream boxing press has said yet. Zeus, as a platform, has barely been promoting this card since the press conference. Zeus has been quiet. Zeus has been dark. Zeus has been running like a network that already knows the ceiling on this event. Ray J is out here tap dancing on interviews because Ray J has to. Because if Ray J does not talk, nobody talks. There is no promotional engine here besides one man's mouth. And when the promotional weight of an entire card lands on the shoulders of a man who thinks apple juice is a training regimen, you already know the ticket sales are telling their own story. Ray J said the arena is nearly sold out. The arena is not nearly sold out. Ride the applause while it lasts, Ray J, because the numbers are going to speak, and the numbers do not care about vibes. Let us dig into the boxing side of this because it matters more than the circus. Claressa Shields versus K. Scott is being framed as a legitimate title-adjacent fight, but the tape and the resume tell a completely different story. Claressa Shields is a 2-time Olympic gold medalist, an undisputed world champion across multiple divisions, and one of the most decorated female fighters in the history of the sport. K. Scott is a 42-year-old debutante on the American scene, with a limited number of professional bouts, 0 knockouts on her record, and a career that has been far more social media than sanctioned. That is not a knock on K. Scott, the human being. That is a description of K. Scott, the resume. And when you put that resume across the ring from Claressa Shields, you do not have a competitive prize fight. You have a coronation dressed up as a competition, and the promoter is charging you full price for the ticket. So who benefits from this exact configuration? Follow the money because the money always confesses before the people do. Zeus needs Claressa Shields on the poster because Claressa Shields is the only name on that poster with global boxing credibility. Zeus needs the celebrity undercard because celebrity undercards drive social media clips, and social media clips drive Zeus subscriptions. Zeus needs Ray J to be loud because Ray J being loud generates the outrage cycle that pushes the card into hip-hop timelines, gossip blogs, sports sites, and reaction channels like this one. And Zeus needs the fine print on testing, sanctioning, and undercard integrity to stay quietly folded underneath everything else, because the moment those questions become the headline, the whole operation gets a lot harder to sell. That is not a conspiracy. That is a marketing plan. And Ray J, bless him, just read the marketing plan out loud on camera and did not realize the microphone was on. And this brings us to the darker question, the one I have been holding in my back pocket because it is uncomfortable, but it has to be asked. What happens if something goes wrong on the 15th? What happens if a fighter on this card gets hurt? What happens if the testing protocols, or the lack of them, produce an outcome that a legitimate athletic commission would never have allowed? The optics are not just bad. The optics are dangerous. And when a promotion mixes reality television theatrics with world-level boxing, the promotion is not the one who pays the price when it goes wrong. The fighters are. And Claressa Shields, the very champion this card is supposed to be built around, is the one whose legacy is stapled to the whole event, whether she asked for that or not. Now let us talk about Ray J, the promoter, because Ray J is not a promoter. Ray J is a personality. And personalities, when handed a boxing microphone, will always default to what personalities do best, which is turn every conversation into a bit. Ray J turned this entire promo cycle into a bit. The testing question into a bit. The co-main event into a bit. Claressa Shields' championship spotlight into a bit. And every bit Ray J drops chips away at the seriousness of the top of the card, piece by piece. And here is the thing, this is not even really Ray J's fault. This is the fault of whoever booked Ray J into a spot where Ray J's instincts would eat the promotion alive. You do not put a comedian on the same panel as a surgeon and then act surprised when the audience laughs during the operation. And this is where the operation really starts to leak because it is not just Ray J. Look at the co-main event math. You have Ray J versus Orlando Brown. You have Tashiki or Takashi, depending on which spelling the graphic department used that day, on the card. You have Big Lex on the card. And you have, sitting further down the poster, a woman being referenced by more than one commentator as, and I am quoting from public conversation here, the fake WBC female champion. That is what real boxing observers are calling this card. Not fans of Claressa Shields. Not haters of Zeus. Actual boxing observers with actual credentials. Because when the sanctioning conversation gets murky, the whole card gets murky. And the whole card just got a whole lot murkier because Ray J will not shut up. Now I want to zoom out for a second, because this is bigger than one card. Boxing has always had spectacle. Boxing has always had characters. Boxing has always had a carnival element. And honestly, that carnival element is part of what makes boxing beautiful. But there is a line between spectacle and cosplay, and the Zeus Network card is standing directly on that line. Either the promoter respects the sport and elevates the spectacle, or the promoter disrespects the sport and drags it somewhere boxing cannot afford to visit. Zeus is currently standing on the wrong side of that line, and Ray J, completely unwittingly, is the one holding up the sign. Let us talk about Claressa Shields, the person, because the person deserves this section. Claressa Shields grew up in Flint. Claressa Shields has been through what she has been through, and she never hid from any of it. Claressa Shields has been the loudest advocate for women's boxing in the modern era, and she has paid for that advocacy every single step of the way. Undervalued by networks, underpaid relative to her male peers, dismissed, mocked, and second-guessed by people who could not survive one round with her in a bag room. And Claressa Shields has still shown up. Every camp, every fight, every time. So when Ray J stands on a stage and tells the world that the paying customers are not showing up early to watch Claressa Shields, understand what is actually being said. Ray J is not just insulting a champion. Ray J is insulting an entire lineage of women fighters who bled their way into a spotlight that Ray J is now trying to steal. And this is where the vindication kicks in for anyone who has been listening to the whispers around this card. Because the real boxing internet has been saying since day one that this was a costume promotion. It has been saying since the press conference that testing was going to be an issue. It has been saying that Claressa Shields was being used as legitimacy paint on a card that did not deserve her. And every single one of those observers is now looking at the Ray J footage and nodding slowly. That is what confirmation looks like. That is what happens when the loudest man in the room forgets that microphones do not care about your feelings. Microphones only care about your words. And Ray J's words have written the review of this event before the event has even happened. And look to the cosign choir. To the people who are already warming up their thumbs to pile into these comments and tell me I am being too hard on Ray J, too hard on Zeus, too hard on the very concept of a celebrity boxing card. Let me help you before you start typing. I love a celebrity boxing card. I love a spectacle. I love a night at the fights that has a little bit of everything, from world-class technicians at the top to pure entertainers at the bottom. There is a whole proud tradition of that in boxing history. But that tradition only works when the promotion respects the top of the card. That tradition only works when the world champion is treated like the world champion. That tradition only works when the undercard shuts up and lets the main event breathe. And this promotion is doing none of that. This promotion is doing the exact opposite. And when Ray J is out here on the promo trail claiming credit for the entire draw, you are not watching a celebrity boxing card anymore. You are watching a hostile takeover of a boxing card by a celebrity who genuinely believes he is doing the champion a favor. Now let me steelman Ray J for 1 second because it would be intellectually lazy not to. Maybe Ray J is just excited. Maybe Ray J is just trying to sell his own fight. Maybe Ray J is just trying to get his name into the sports blogs so that Ray J versus Orlando Brown has a little bit of extra juice, pun fully intended. Fine. Understandable. Every fighter hypes their own fight. But the professional way to sell your own fight is not to torch the top of the poster on your way up. The professional way is to hype your own fight while respecting the champion above you. That is basic promotion. That is boxing 101. You do not eat the marquee. You climb it. And Ray J, in trying to climb it, ate the whole thing in one bite. That is not strategy. That is Ray J being Ray J on the biggest microphone of his year. And here is the part that is going to get me in trouble in the comments, and I genuinely do not care. The bigger issue behind Ray J is Zeus itself. Because Ray J is a symptom. Zeus is the diagnosis. Zeus greenlit this card. Zeus approved this promotional strategy. Zeus put Ray J in front of a microphone knowing exactly what Ray J does when placed in front of a microphone, because Ray J has been doing it for 20 years on every camera that has ever been pointed at him. Zeus has a very specific business model, and that business model is built on manufactured drama, manufactured beef, and manufactured moments that translate directly into subscriber pings. When you overlay that business model on top of a real boxing card with a real world champion, you get exactly what you are watching right now. Chaos, leaks, confessions on camera, a promotional team that cannot get out of its own way, and a champion who deserves infinitely better than being marketed by the loudest man in the co-main event. Let me walk you through the Zeus business model for a second, because once you understand what Zeus actually is, the Ray J footage becomes 10 times more damning. Zeus is a streaming platform built almost entirely on manufactured conflict. The formula is simple. Take a personality with public equity. Pair them with another personality who has a public grievance or a public inclination toward chaos. Point the cameras. Wait for the clips. Post the clips. Sell the subscriptions. That is the business, and it is a very good business when you keep it in its lane. The problem is Zeus decided the lane was not big enough. Zeus decided a real boxing card, sanctioned by a real athletic commission, with a real world champion on the poster, was the next logical expansion. And Zeus was wrong. Boxing is not reality television with gloves on. Boxing has rules. Boxing has weight classes. Boxing has testing regimes. Boxing has decades of institutional memory that will chew up any promoter who tries to shortcut it. And Zeus is currently getting chewed up on camera by its own co-main event. Now look at what that means for you, the ticket buyer. If you paid money for a seat inside the State Farm Arena, or if you paid to stream this card, understand what you actually purchased. You did not pay for a boxing event. You paid for a Zeus event that happens to have boxing in it. Two very different products. And Zeus has been aggressively refusing to say which one it is actually selling. That ambiguity is the entire reason Ray J was able to torch the promotion without a single Zeus staffer stepping in. Zeus does not want Ray J to shut up. Zeus wants Ray J to keep making clips. Zeus is watching Ray J burn the marquee and quietly rubbing its hands together because every ash cloud is a trending topic. That is not a partnership. That is a farm. And the crop is content. Which brings me back to Ray J, and I want to do this section with a little empathy because Ray J is being used just as much as Claressa Shields, only Ray J does not know it. Ray J understands one currency, and that currency is attention. Ray J does not understand boxing currency, which is respect. Ray J understands cameras and microphones, and that instinct has kept Ray J on television for 2 decades. But the moment Ray J walks onto a boxing card, that same instinct becomes a liability, because a boxing card does not need attention. A boxing card needs credibility. And Ray J spent his entire promo run trading the credibility for the attention, one interview at a time. Ray J thought he was helping. Ray J was hurting. And nobody around Ray J was willing to tell him, because the people around Ray J are paid to nod, not to warn. And this is where I keep coming back to Claressa Shields, because Claressa Shields is the one paying the invoice on all of this. Claressa Shields did not ask for this promotional style. Claressa Shields did not ask for a co-star who was going to turn testing questions into juice punchlines. Claressa Shields did not ask to be marketed as an appetizer on her own poster. Claressa Shields signed on because she wants to fight, wants the payday she has earned a dozen times over, and being the competitor she is, will find a way to make any environment work. That is the tragedy buried inside this circus. The champion is going to do her job on the 15th and remind everybody, without saying a single word, why Claressa Shields is Claressa Shields. But every ounce of credit she earns that night will be siphoned into a narrative she never approved. That is the cost of doing business with a platform that does not know the difference between a fight card and a group chat. And here is the twist inside the twist. Because I have been reading the boxing forums. I have been reading the sports radio timelines. I have been reading the corners of the internet where real fight fans actually gather, and there is a growing consensus that this card is going to be a turning point. Not for Zeus, not for Ray J, for Claressa Shields. Because after the 15th, if Claressa Shields walks out of that ring the way we all expect, the conversation is not going to be about Zeus and it is not going to be about Ray J. The conversation is going to be about how much longer Claressa Shields is going to keep saving promotions that do not deserve saving. It is going to be about which real boxing partner, which real institutional broadcaster, is going to step up and give Claressa Shields the platform she has already earned. And once that conversation starts in earnest, Zeus is going to look back on this card, look back on the Ray J footage, and realize they did not just fumble a fight night. They fumbled a champion. Now here is the twist that most people scrolling past the story are not going to catch yet. Look at who actually gains from all of this. Every controversial promotion in boxing history has produced 2 possible outcomes for the champion at the top of the card. Either the champion gets swallowed by the circus, or the champion turns the circus into a stage. Claressa Shields has never once been swallowed by anything. Claressa Shields is not about to start now. So when Claressa Shields walks into the State Farm Arena on the 15th and walks through K-Scott the way we all expect, the story is not going to be Ray J. The story is not going to be Zeus. The story is going to be Claressa Shields. Because Claressa Shields, one more time, is going to remind everybody who the actual main event is. And Ray J's entire promo run is going to look, in retrospect, like the biggest advertisement Claressa Shields could have ever asked for, and she did not have to spend a dime on it. That is how a real headline writes itself. That is how a real champion moves through a compromised promotion and still walks out the winner. And that is why, even in the middle of all this Ray J-generated chaos, there is a version of this story where Claressa Shields wins twice. Once in the ring and once in the timeline, when every clip of Ray J saying the fans are not showing up for Claressa Shields gets played back next to the shot of Claressa Shields holding another belt over her head with the arena screaming her name. Screenshot this paragraph. Come back to it on the 16th. We will talk about it then. Now to the cosign choir defending Ray J one more time. To the crowd that is going to hop in these comments and say, you do not understand the game, Ray J is selling the fight. Let me finish the point. Because the truth is, Ray J is selling a fight. But Ray J is not selling the fight that is printed on the poster. Ray J is selling the fight in Ray J's head, where Ray J is Muhammad Ali and Orlando Brown is Joe Frazier. And Claressa Shields is the opening act who should be grateful for the exposure. Meanwhile, the actual promoter, Zeus, is nodding along because the clips are moving and the subscriptions are pinging. That is not a partnership. That is a group project where one person is doing all the work, one person is doing all the talking, and the one person who is actually qualified is sitting quietly in Miami wondering why she agreed to this in the first place. And to be fair, we still do not know what Claressa Shields is doing in Miami. Nobody has told us. Not her team. Not Zeus. Not the promotional partners. Not the sanctioning body. Nobody. And in the current climate of boxing, where transparency is the difference between a legitimate promotion and a punchline, that silence is doing more damage than Ray J's microphone ever could. So answer the question. Where is the camp? Where is the sparring footage? Where are the check-ins? Give us something. Because right now, the only person filling the promotional vacuum is Ray J, and Ray J is filling it with juice metaphors. Let me remind you one more time what the actual stakes are here. The stakes are not just one fight card. The stakes are the credibility of women's championship boxing on a streaming platform at a moment when women's boxing is fighting harder than ever for real institutional respect. Every card like this either builds that credibility or spends it. And Zeus, at least so far, has been spending it, not building it. Claressa Shields will do what Claressa Shields does. Claressa Shields will win. But whether the sport around her grows because of this card or shrinks in spite of it is the real question, and it lands squarely at the feet of the people running this promotion. So what should you do? What should the fans do? Simple. Watch the fight. Watch the whole card if you want. But watch it with your eyes open. Watch it knowing what Ray J said. Watch it knowing what Zeus did not say. Watch it knowing the testing conversation has not been answered. Watch it knowing that Claressa Shields deserves better than to be marketed by the man saying she is not the reason people are showing up. And after the fight, whether Claressa Shields wins the way we all expect, or something unexpected happens, hold the promotion accountable. Do not let the timeline forget. Do not let the clips disappear into the algorithm. Because if we let this card slide, we are inviting the next Zeus card, and the next one, and the next one, until the whole idea of a legitimate women's championship on a streaming platform becomes a running joke. And that is the real reason Ray J's little juice speech matters. Because Ray J did not just embarrass himself. Ray J embarrassed the entire apparatus. Ray J shone a floodlight into every corner of this promotion that Zeus was hoping would stay in the dark. Ray J told the fans who the promotion actually values. Ray J told the fans how the promotion actually operates. Ray J told the fans what the promotion actually thinks of Claressa Shields, of the sport, of testing, of standards, of legacy. Ray J did all of that in one sitting, in one interview, with one microphone, in one absurdly Ray J way. And now the tape lives forever. Now the tape is what everyone is going to remember, no matter what happens in the ring on the 15th. Which brings us right back to where we started. Claressa Shields is the greatest women's boxer breathing right now. Claressa Shields has been the greatest for a long time. Claressa Shields will be the greatest for a long time after this card becomes a footnote. And Ray J, in trying to make himself the headline, made Claressa Shields the story again in the only way Ray J knows how. By opening his mouth. That is Ray J. That is why Ray J is Ray J. And that is why, when you look at the receipts always come back the same. The champion is the champion. The undercard is the undercard. And the microphone is a mirror, and Ray J just looked into it and told on himself for 20 straight minutes without blinking. Before I let you go, I want to hear from you. Drop it in the comments. Do you think Ray J tanked the promotion on purpose? Or did Ray J just tank it because Ray J is Ray J? Do you think Zeus is going to address the testing question before the 15th? Or will Zeus stay quiet all the way through the walkouts? Do you think Claressa Shields comes out of this bigger than she went in? Or do you think this card leaves a stain on a resume that has never had one? Tell me. I read every comment. And if you made it this far into the video, do me a favor. Hit that like button one more time. Subscribe if you have not already. Ring the bell if you want to be here for the next chapter, because there will absolutely be a next chapter, and it is going to be a wild one. And on top of that, roll straight into the next video on your end screen. There is a whole rabbit hole waiting for you, and I promise you, once you go down it, you are going to want to stay a while. Until then, take care of yourselves, watch the tape, keep your eyes open, and remember, the champion is the champion, no matter how loud the co-main gets. Ray J said what Ray J said. Zeus did what Zeus did. Claressa Shields is going to do what Claressa Shields always does. And the rest of us are going to be right here to watch it happen.